Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about detail line, model line, some hatching and masking and hatch patterns. In architecture, we use these different kind of lines, detail or model lines, to add additional information or texture or other information cues to make our drawings communicate better. So it's stuff that we do on top of the model. So here you see I have a couple of samples. I have a floor plan. I actually have a floor in here, and then I have 4 different floors to show you different things. But first you need to understand fundamentally how a detail line behaves versus a model line. Okay, so the important thing is a detail line only exists in the view that you actually created that detail line. So for instance, right now I'm on the floor plan view. And so if I create a detail line, I could only see it here. If I go to another view and I want to see a floor plan, it won't be there, and nor will it be in a 3D view. Model lines, on the other hand, is kind of handled just like these walls. So once you draw a wall, it shows up everywhere, correct? Like in 3D, there's a wall. You can go to a elevation view and the wall will be there. And model line will behave just like that. So imagine model line being equal to any component that you would draw on Revit or use to model in Revit. Model line is the same thing, but it's just simply a line, right? So that's the two fundamental difference between a model line and a detail line. So let's get into an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to duplicate its view. Okay, and then also this is also an important thing later, which we can cover. So now I have 2 views. I have floor plan copy 1 and floor plan, and they're actually identical, meaning if I put in a wall here, because it's a model, right? It's a Revit model, and floor plan copy 1, if I go to floor plan, it'll be there too, because again, it's a model and it'll be in my 3D view. Okay, so let's go and draw our first detail line. So to get to the detail line, I use a shortcut DL, but you guys can find it here, annotate, detail line. So if I want to tell, if I want to tell some sort of a story and I say, well, the room in this area has a special pattern and maybe it looks like this. And again, there's different ways to create patterns, so please, when I say the word pattern, it's just kind of more descriptive of what I'm trying to explain to you. So maybe I want to just tell the client, the pattern can look like this. So it's just kind of, I only show it, and maybe I'll name this as, instead of floor plan copy, I'll just say sample 1. Again, guys, there's different ways of doing versioning and phasing. So I'm only doing this just to show you guys an example of what a detail line is. So I have it in this particular view, floor plan sample 1. I drew a bunch of these detail lines. If I go to floor plan, you won't see them because it's a detail line. It only lives in this view. And this concept is really, really important because sometimes in elevations, we will draw specific detail lines just to show what is happening in that particular view, but we don't want that to be populated all over the models. Now let me show you an example of a model line. Remember, a model line is very much like if you were doing a model or loading a component like a desk. If I load a desk here and here, it's going to show up on my other floor plan. It's because it's the same item. And then it also show up on my 3D. So similar to just like any other component, which is a 3D model, model line behaves the same way. So to get to a model line, it'll be under architecture, and then you click model line, or LI for shortcut. And I forgot what shape I just drew, but I'm going to try to draw a similar, little doodad. I think it was something like this. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention, just like with detail lines and model lines, these lines can have different characteristics. Like you can make them hidden. Just like if you were drafting, you can make them dash dot. So we'll get into, all the different types of line styles and line weights at another demo. But what's important for you guys to understand in this particular demo is that now this is a model line, right? So if I go to this view, it also shows up because it's like a 3D object, and also it also shows up in 3D view. So this is just like equal to any other component or any other model items. So the next question that should come up, well, this model line is being drawn on the floor. How do I draw on that wall or any other surface, right? Because what if I want to create some samples up here as a model? So what you do is you go to model line, and you'll see here placement plane, because it's actually almost a 3D object. It's a flat object, but it's kind of treated as a 3D object. So right now, by default, whenever I draw, it's going to draw on the floor plan level, right? This bottom level. I can come up here, and if I had different levels, which I did, which I do have, I can pick it so I can draw on the second level. Or if I want to draw on this face, I can say I want to pick a face, pick a plane, click OK, click that. Now whatever I draw is going to be drawn on that surface. Even I'm going to go up high, you'll see what that's going to do. So see how it's just stuck on that surface? So that's how you would draw a model line. And of course the model line right now by default, the last time I came into that command, it was a green line, so it's going to show up as green. But of course you can change that to, black medium lines or whatever that is, right? So big difference, guys. Model line is treated like a physical model, so it'll show up anywhere that it could see it. And then a detail line, it will only show up on that particular view, which are these views right here on your on the right side on your project browser. There's another nifty trick. So for instance, let's say, I wish Revit can kind of tell you better whether it's a model line or not. Maybe there is, and if you guys find out, please message me. But you guys can, let's say if you created this as a model line, you're like, oh shoot, I really don't want to see it everywhere. I just want to see it on a plant on this particular view. Then you can select everything and you can click this convert lines. So now it's converted it. It's telling me it's converted 8 lines. And now this is a detail line. Again, I wish that Revit would tell you that it's a detail line, but I should not see any of this when I go to this plan here. 1, 2, 3. And there it is. It's gone. And this also should be gone in my 3D view. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit the difference between model line and detail line. You guys will use both of these tools strategically. I promise you, you'll come across a project where you'll need to create detail lines. Well, actually, you'll need to create detail lines a lot. And then there are a few situations where you would need to create a model line. So anyhow, I will see you on the next demo for the hatch masking.